I had said yesterday that there were a few more videos that I needed to do, really a couple more videos. The video today, this one that I'm doing, and then one tomorrow to revisit the timeline as it relates to certain transits in the sign of Capricorn, and of course those are the transits that we've been looking at as far as the virus is concerned. But I wanted to get through all these other videos before we finally close out this set of videos tomorrow or day after, whenever I get to the last one that I need to do. This one is actually rather short, and there's a transit that is occurring right now on April 3rd or April 4th, depending on where you're at. That is the next in a line of transits that have been going on for a while. If you've been following this channel for a while, I've mentioned that outside of the eclipses, the two signs that are really kind of lit up this year, in the first half of this year it would be Pisces, and in the second half of this year it would be Aries. Now, the signs of Gemini and Cancer are going to have their own set of transits, as I've been discussing over the past few videos with Venus and Gemini in the last couple of videos I did, and also the video before that was about the transition of eclipses from Cancer Capricorn to Gemini Sagittarius. But that all gets caught up in eclipsiness is the way I would put it. But outside of that, the sign of Pisces and where that sits in your chart, and in the second half of this year, although it's topical right now, again, the sun and the new moon in Aries videos that I've done recently will give you more information on this, are now lit up. The sign of Pisces, as folks who've been watching this know, went through its set of eclipses in late 2015 and 2016, eclipses of release, and that created some sort of a crisis there for most people, or events or occurrences, something that needed to be let go of in order to create room for move towards something else. Now, Mercury retrograde in March and April, both in 2019 and 2020, has occurred around March, April in 2019, February, March in 2020, this past February, March, and has been in the sign of Pisces, which means that this part of the chart has been revisited recently. And Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, one of the two rulers of Pisces, is also in Pisces very, very strong. And as I've mentioned in videos before, Neptune is very much an anti-ego, anti-individual planet, insofar as it really is interested in connecting us to spirit, source, and a sense of collectivity, a sense of merging with the one and the absolute. And so often Neptune is associated with a couple of things. Loss, because the giving up of ego means also giving up what is me or mine. So wherever Pisces is, there could be losing something. And sometimes the loss comes through thievery, or it comes through manipulative means or deceit. And so Neptune, to some extent, has now developed this reputation for smoke and mirrors, or deceit, or I don't want to say gaslightiness, but you know, kind of smoke and mirrors is a good way of putting it. Ultimately, Neptune is really interested in driving home the fact that nothing and nobody's yours, and sooner or later we're all going to go ahead and merge with the absolute. So Neptune just has a tendency to want to escalate that process and drive that point home. But while we're living in material reality, that is an extraordinarily disconcerting process. And this idea of having to release something or lose something or let go of something, you know, kind of has a South Node quality, a kind of a having to release something that you might have felt was important to you. Neptune's other association is very much with the arts, in the sense of inspiration and the muses, in the sense of shutting off the mind, in the sense of getting downloads. And you know, there are two planets that are sort of extrasensory in that regard. Uranus, which is really associated with intuition and greater clarity and epiphany, and Neptune, which in its own way is just the opposite of that. It's a fogginess. It's a kind of you know, addictions and getting drunk or going on drugs or something. Anything that shuts your mind off, so that you can either relax and release or lead downloads come to you, which can't come when you're trying too hard and trying to think and process something, has a Neptunian quality. It's not all deceit and it's not all addiction. It can very much be inspiration. You know, the arts, you are thinking of painting something or photographing something or playing a part or singing something. Music is very associated with Neptune. Very associated with Neptune. This idea, and it is this kind of musical quality that Neptune emphasizes. Songs, poetry, non-linear thinking, all of that is very Neptunian. You know, inspiration coming to you from some mysterious source that you would on your own not quite be able to figure out. Very Neptunian. Now, why am I going on and on about this? We had the Mercury retrograde in February and March, and Mercury currently is in Pisces till April the 10th. In addition, the Mercury retrograde period inaugurated a phase that lasts through May the 4th, where we're required to take a certain amount of action wherever it is that the sign of Pisces is in our charts. So it's the same part where these crises occurred in late 2015, 2016, where Mercury was retrograde last year and this year. And now with Mercury direct till May the 4th, there's a call to action. I've mentioned this in my previous videos. There are various videos on Mercury retrograde that I did recently, so you can search for those. I'll see if I'll put a link to one or two of those when I process this video. Well, Mercury, as it's going through Pisces, meets up with Neptune on April 3rd or April 4th. And it's another development during this time. And with Pisces, we aren't done, because after this Mercury-Neptune conjunction, the next big transit in Pisces occurs from the middle of May to the end of June, when Mars comes into Pisces. And that's when we you know, by the middle of June, by the end of June, is when we're really kind of done with this particular round of spiraling out of this Piscean puzzle that we are being asked to solve, this releasing, this absence of clinging on to or holding on to or understanding what is ours and what is not ours, and the idea that sometimes some of that is driven home through perhaps deceit or releasing things or putting your feet up or being isolated or being alone, being inspired, messages coming into you, music, listening to the music of the heavens, you know, spirituality in not so much a clarifying concept, but in a releasing the cares of the material world kind of way, because of the understanding that the material world is false and conditioned. And Neptune is kind of the anti-being alive planet in a certain sense, because while we're alive, we do have to take care of ourselves and our bodies, and we are driven, at the very least, by basic things like hunger and the need of shelter and clothing or protection. But Neptune's very structure is to drive home the realization that we are not our bodies. The Mercury-Neptune conjunction may make clear over the past week and as we head to it some element of whatever's been going on in the sign that could have been mysterious to us. Mercury is the planet of thought and clarity. And when Venus conjuncted Neptune at the end of January, there really could have been something that was much foggier and more deceitful in terms of our material realities or relationships. Mercury's conjuncting Neptune may have a clarifying quality to it. Something that was unclear, something that was hidden, may become illuminated or may become clearer as a result of mercurial things, conversations, writing, epiphanies, spiritual or intuitive consultations, astrology. It's interesting, I've been doing so many of these. I just realized as I was saying that I've done like a bunch. I can't remember the last time I did 4 videos or 5 videos, one every day in a row. This, you know, interesting in its own way, kind of a Mercury. Some would argue it's Mercury Uranus or Mercury, whatever it is, trying to make sense of the murkiness. And through communication, through technology, through social media, through talking to people, through writing, all of a sudden the mind is starting to make sense of some aspect of this Piscean realm in our chart that has been unclear. Our mind could give us permission to rest. that all of a sudden the idea, depending on where Pisces sits in your chart, of putting your feet up kind of makes sense somehow during this time, or something that has been deceitful, or an uneasiness that something has been going on behind the scenes in a way that is contains a loss for you. All of a sudden there's a conversation about it, or there's clarity about it. The clarity could come, as I said, through pulling a tarot card, or a dream, or music, or an astrology consultation, an intuitive or a psychic consultation, through someone who is reputable, one hopes, please, because you don't want the other side of the Neptune Mercury thing where you're having a conversation with someone who deals with these kinds of things, but is a quack, for lack of a better word, and is doing their own smoke and mirrors on you. But there's something clarifying about this particular transit. So if over the past week, and even yesterday, today, tomorrow, and maybe by April 4th, you find yourself discerning, and kind of peeling away the layers of the onion, or unthreading something that has been confusing, or eliminating the fog or the smoke in the mirrors to some extent to get clear on something through mercurial means, thought, communication, either communicating directly with an individual. There could also be in the middle of this clarity, people trying to communicate or give you mixed or shady messages, or being somehow duplicitous, or kind of playing their own smoke and mirrors game, or trying to be clear but through slightly passive aggressive and smoke and mirrors means. I'm gonna let you determine how this fits in for you. Another aspect of this is that you could, if you are an artist or work with inspiration in some way, if you're a writer, if you're looking for your muses, MUSES, to come through to you, it could be that over the last week or so, but over the next 2 or 3 days, somehow you have epiphanies and learnings, and things come together, and you make sense of certain things about your, to use a very arty term, craft. The craft of writing, the craft of acting, the craft of painting, the craft of photography, the craft of whatever. It could be that over the past week and over the next few days, certain necessary or needed things become clear to you, either because they are taught to you, or because you figure them out yourself, or you read about them, articles, videos, again, mercurial things, social media things come through to you. Sorry about this. The leaves, it's windy, and so it's playing with the light. I thought I was in a shady place, but as the trees get moved around, the sun is behind me, so it shines right in. It's kind of funny that we're doing a video on Neptune and Mercury conjunct Neptune, and this kind of play of light is happening at this particular time. So some of this could even be things that we're dealing with regard to fake news, lack of clarity, people trying to deliver a message or try to get us to see the truth but not really putting it in words. I'll let you figure that part of it out. I don't want to get unnecessarily political here. But some of that could be in the air as well, trying to get clear about a foggy situation, trying to make sense of it, being sort of able to, not being able to. When I was thinking about the title of this video, I was gonna title The Best of OMD, and if you don't know OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, that reference would be lost to a lot of people, but there are a couple of songs that came to mind. Secret is one of them, and Talking Loud and Clear. And there is a kind of a talking loud and clear about secrets element to this time. Whether the talking loud and clear is happening with people, whether it's happening through social media, whether it's happening through technology, whether it's happening by murky means, people trying to check up on you trying to check up on other people, a little bit of social media spying, whether it is done through means of clear communication with mystical or intuitive things, dreams, music, something along those lines. But it's a necessary and important step at this time, while till May the 4th you've sort of been tasked with taking certain actions or acting in this part of your chart somehow. Mercury and the realm of communication stays here till April the 10th, but then, as I said, till May the 4th, you have this phase of Mercury related activities in this part of your chart. And then, as I also said, middle of May to the end of June, Mars comes in here, and then action needs to be taken. And then by the end of June, we're really kind of done with the Pisces side of things, except for a full moon we have in Pisces in the second half of the year, which we always do either in August or September when the sun is in Virgo. We will naturally have a full moon in Pisces at that time. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. This is the last of the videos that I could think of doing in this succession, and there's one more video that needs to be done. I meant last of the videos before revisiting timelines in the Jupiter-Pluto transit that has been referenced so many times in these past few days. By all means, if this is the first video of mine you're seeing, check out the last 2 or 3 or 4 videos if you have the time or whenever you can to get a sense of the narrative around what's going on currently. Yeah, if you found this video useful or helpful, feel free to share it, like it, comment on it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button to be notified whenever I do new videos. My contact information is in the description box. If I'm having a little bit of time, taking a little bit of time getting in touch with you, just be patient with me. It has this kind of Mercury Neptune slightly backed up quality right now. I will get to it. You will get a response. So but you can write to me there to inquire about rates for readings. You can write to me there if you want me to make an easy to read version of your chart. You'll need to know your birth time. You can inquire about rates for that, etc., etc. I'll leave it at that. One more video to go, I think, to really look at and examine this time before we then head towards the April 8th Libra full moon. Okay, over now for now.